Did you know that Auntie Dottie, Mommy Pig's sister, might actually be the jealous and forgotten member of the family? Every family hides its secrets, and the pig family is no different. Auntie Dottie was first mentioned back in season 4 when she sent a gift to Peppa and George, but she doesn't really appear until season 8. Strange, isn't it? Why would someone so close have such little contact with her sister's family? The theory suggests a feud began when Daddy Pig chose Mommy Pig instead of Auntie Dottie. It's possible he met Dottie first, since both are older than Mommy Pig. They could have easily become friends, and Dottie might have fallen in love with him. But in the end, Daddy Pig's heart went to Mommy Pig, leaving Dottie aside and filled with envy. Sibling rivalry isn't unusual, but this one was serious enough to tear them apart. Even Peppa's grandparents may have sided with Mommy Pig. That decision might have forced Dottie out of the house while still young, or perhaps she chose to leave, moving far away to the United States. The fight must have been so bitter that even when the Pig family traveled to America, they never went to see her. Let's take a closer look at the evidence. In the episode where Peppa and George spend the night at their grandparents' house, Grandma Pig shows them the room that once belonged to Mommy Pig. In many cultures, parents keep their children's rooms untouched, filled with memories. But in this house tour, Grandma Pig never mentions Auntie Dottie. There are no belongings of hers, not even a photo. Later, when Peppa and George explore the attic, the same thing happens. No trace of Auntie Dottie anywhere. Isn't it odd that an entire daughter of the family seems erased? In most homes, you'd expect at least one picture of every child, even if hidden on a shelf. The complete absence of Dottie is suspicious. This silence is strikingly similar to Disney's Encanto, where the famous song We Don't Talk About Bruno highlights how one family member was isolated. Just like Bruno, something must have happened to push Auntie Dottie away from her relatives. Perhaps her belongings were packed into those old boxes in the attic, brushed off as unimportant. The age of those items might match the age of the feud itself. The lack of memories in her parents' house is strong proof that Auntie Dottie has been away from them for many years. Another strong clue comes in the Thanksgiving episode. The moment Auntie Dottie arrives at the Pig family's house, she tells Peppa that the last time she saw her was when Peppa was just a baby. But now Peppa is already 4 years old, which means Dottie hasn't been around for years, and she doesn't even know George. On top of that, Dottie speaks with an American accent, unlike the rest of the Pig family, who all have British accents. This suggests she left England a long time ago, most likely as a teenager, since it's rare for adults to lose their native accent. And look at the family's reaction when she calls to announce her visit. Mommy Pig doesn't sound thrilled. She simply says it's Auntie Dottie, nothing more. If you hadn't seen your sister for years and truly cared for her, wouldn't you show more excitement? Even Grandpa and Grandma Pig seem distant when they hear the news, responding only with a plain, "Oh." That kind of cold reaction hints that something deep is broken in their relationship. In another episode, when Peppa and George visit Daddy Pig at work, there's a curious photograph sitting on his desk. At first glance, you might think it's a picture of Peppa and George, but if you look more closely, you'll notice the photo is black and white, showing it's old, and the little pig in the picture is wearing a polka dot dress, who always wears polka dots. Auntie Dottie. This detail suggests the photo is not of Peppa, but of Dottie from many years ago. It raises an uncomfortable question. Why does Daddy Pig keep an old photo of himself with his sister-in-law from childhood? Could it mean they once shared a closer bond? Maybe even more than just family ties? Let's go back to Dottie's very first mention in the show. In the episode, Horsey Twinkletoes, she sends Peppa and George a present from far away. Mommy Pig even comments that Dottie lives in another country. As the family puts the present together, it turns out to be a toy horse on wheels, something children can ride. But here's the strange part. Peppa's town is full of hills and steep slopes. Any adult would know such a toy could be dangerous in that environment. And indeed, when Daddy Pig tries it, he ends up rolling downhill uncontrollably and lands in a puddle so deep it reaches his belly while standing. Imagine if little George had been the one on the toy. It could have ended in tragedy. This choice of gift seems careless at best, or perhaps intentional. Some fans believe it reflects Dottie's bitterness, sending something risky rather than thoughtful. When Auntie Dottie finally visits in the Thanksgiving episode, the atmosphere feels strange. At the start, Peppa's family is preparing to go buy food, showing they weren't expecting visitors. Then Dottie calls Mommy Pig to say she's coming over. Mommy Pig reacts with little enthusiasm, simply mentioning her sister's name without joy or warmth. If you hadn't seen your sister for years, wouldn't you at least say, I missed you? But that doesn't happen. Even when Grandma and Grandpa Pig hear the news, their only response is a flat "oh." This lack of excitement makes it clear that Dotie's relationship with the family is deeply strained. Dottie herself seems aware of this. When Peppa asks about Thanksgiving, since it's not celebrated in England, Dottie describes it as a wonderful time when families come together. Her words feel almost ironic, as if she's trying to remind them of something they've forgotten. Later in season 9, the Pig family wins a free trip to the United States. They land in New York and travel all the way across the country to Hollywood, passing through several states and cities. Yet, during this entire journey, they never once visit Auntie Dottie, even though she clearly lives in America. Isn't that odd? If you had a close relative abroad, visiting them would be natural. The fact that Peppa's family ignores her entirely, even while in her country, speaks volumes about the distance between them. It's as if they'd rather pretend she doesn't exist than reconnect with her. Back in the Thanksgiving episode, another detail stands out. When the family has to buy food for the holiday dinner, Dottie ends up going to the market with Daddy Pig, not with Mommy Pig, her own sister. If she hadn't seen her sibling for so many years, wouldn't it make sense to spend more time with her? Instead, Dottie seems more focused on Daddy Pig, which adds another layer of tension to the theory. This detail ties back to the idea that Dottie may once have had feelings for him. Her choice of company seems too deliberate to ignore, especially considering the cold dynamic with her sister. Now let's reflect on Daddy Pig himself. Throughout the series, he's portrayed as clumsy, unable to assemble furniture, often laughed at, and rarely respected even inside his own home.
Easy as pie. Oh, it's not meant to do that.
If Dottie truly was jealous or harbored resentment, would she really still desire him? Probably not. That's why many fans believe her bitterness doesn't come from wanting to be with him now, but from losing out in the past. The old photograph, the distant behavior, and her cold reception all hint at wounds that never healed. Dottie may not love him anymore, but the resentment lingers, and it colors how she treats the whole family, especially Peppa and George, who symbolize the life she never had. In the end, the mystery of Auntie Dottie paints her as one of Peppa Pig's strangest and most forgotten characters. The missing photographs, the American accent, the risky gift, the family's lack of warmth, and the old connections with Daddy Pig all build a picture of a relative pushed aside, maybe intentionally erased. Whether she's truly jealous, bitter, or simply misunderstood, Auntie Dottie adds a dark undertone to the cheerful world of Peppa Pig, and perhaps that's why the show rarely mentions her, because her presence raises questions the family doesn't want to answer.